Welcome back, everyone. My name is Destiny Diamond, one of your co-hosts of the Believe Wrestling podcast. Joining me is my other co-host, Mr. August Blaze. How you doing tonight, August?
I'm doing good. I don't know how to do the Pat McAfee pen flip, and I accidentally threw it behind me, and now I'm holding a Cat in the Hat pin, which is pretty cool. It's a full-bore Cat in the Hat. Oh.
I did it wrong.
Oh! Oh, I did it, motherfucker! Oh, I gotta cut that. That's crazy. All right. The Cat in the Hat pen goes kind of hard, though.
So good. So good.
Oh, and it writes well? Okay. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. If you missed
We really do.
the Miss Destiny Diamond WrestleMania weekend update, well, then you're on the wrong episode, friends. You got to check out the upload from yesterday. It is like an hour of power special of the Destiny Diamond breakdown. I am there as well. I am reacting. It is a very Destiny Diamond-centric episode. So, if you want to hear all about her weekend, don't miss it. But we are here to talk about the week after. We are here to catch up on Friday Night SmackDown, Monday Night Raw, and any big wrestling news that has kind of shaken the world to its core sense. So I have some cliff notes. I assume this is going to be the general gist of how our conversation goes. However, there are going to be things that pop up in between that are not noted that I know will come up. Did you just do a hat flip? Because I was looking at myself.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I can't look at you because you don't show me your face when we record.
I can't show you my face because the camera can only be set to one thing, ma'am. And I have to record my face. I can't show you my face and record my face.
That makes me so sad because I miss seeing your smile.
Unless I can do this.
No, don't overcomplicate things. I'll see you when I see you.
Hold on. What if I do... Hold on.
The stream has ended.
Yeah. We'll see. What does this look like? Nothing?
Oh my god, I see you.
That's pretty cool. Oh
my god.
All right.
I hate that there's a delay though. I'll make sure to look down.
Okay, well now the Cat in the Hat's gone, so now I gotta grab another pen. That's a pair of scissors.
Also, if you don't want to do this, don't do this, but please feel free to. Why do I have a filter?
You don't have a filter. That's just what your face looks like, ma'am.
No, I'll send you a picture. I'm sure it looks different on your end, which is like the one that's actually recording. But yeah, it's like I have like a weird Instagram filter over me. I'm very like orange, like my hair is very orange.
Anything with that is 100% on your end. I'm just recording the base screen.
I've done nothing. I have nothing.
I have nothing.
Do I look that orange?
I'm colorblind. I'm not the person to be answering that question. You just look like Ashley.
Okay, here. Will you... fuck. Well, I'm gonna send you a picture. Will you tell me if this is what I look like right now? Like, do I look like I normally look when we stream?
Yes. Except you're wearing a hat
look normal?
backwards.
I love wearing my hat backwards.
You don't normally do that, though.
Okay. Also, if this overcomplicates it for you, please do not,
No.
have your face up there, but...
I'm fine with it. As long as you're fine with it. Actually, I kind of prefer it this way because now you can't see what slides are coming next. You get to see, like, what's popping up on the screen, which is pretty... Fuck! I'm running out of pens! Which is pretty...
yeah, if you...
Cool.
Yeah, if you look at your texts, I sent you a picture of what it looks like on my end, because for some reason, maybe it's because it's like, I don't know. I just look really orange.
Oh, I don't think you look that orange.
Okay, good. Okay.
Now we are checking out Randy Orton versus John Cena. We had a couple interesting points come up here. I do like the fact that Randy Orton sold this very well here between the two of them. Kind of brought in some real life elements saying John... I love the line he said where he essentially referenced, I don't remember exactly what it was, but him basically saying, like, you need to have kids. Like, having a bunch of little John Cenas running around would make the world a much better place. And John just looked at him and said, how dare you? how dare you parent shame me, or whatever the hell it was. It was so cheesy, but it was so... What even is this feud in 2025? But
The part that I loved was John was like, I've been babysitting all of these kids my whole career. Oh, look, I'm getting flipped off by a 6-year-old. Classy. Great.
I'm just glad they're getting... I really hope they're just getting this out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at seeing this match one more time. Of course, he has to have a handful of greatest hits compilations, quote unquote. We got the mini CM Punk thing. And I really hope Randy Orton is the last, if not just one of the last ones. The ones I would really love to see... The problem with this is it would be cool to see him and Roman. But Roman can't really take another loss right now. So...
I don't really need to see it. That's one of his more recent feuds. It was several years ago now, but I just don't see a need for Cena Roman right now. The story I don't think is there. I'd rather see Punk and Cena.
Well, here's the thing.
Roman Cena.
John Cena's never beaten Roman Reigns.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see that.
That's why this is like, if John Cena has one thing left to do, it's beat Roman Reigns. I don't think Cena's beaten The Undertaker either, but that ship has sailed. But the fact he's never beaten Roman Reigns, he has those 2 big matches against Roman. I don't remember. The first one was 2018. It was right after WrestleMania 33. Towards the end of the year, I think it was like the November pay-per-view, October, November. So it was like 6 months after Roman Taker. And Roman won that match. And then they did the feud that Destiny was just talking about. I believe that was SummerSlam 2001. Yeah. And correct. That was the last time they fought, and which the match was absolutely spoiled beforehand because Roman opened his big mouth and said, if I lose this match, I'm going to retire. Which everybody's like, well, okay, Roman's not going to lose this match and retire in 2021, so we know who wins. Well,
I honestly just thought he was joking around. Like, I mean, you know how Roman jokes around? I mean... He's joking, but he's not, if that makes sense. Like when that one person in the press room booed him and he's like, if you don't kick them out, I will leave. Like, yes, he genuinely did mean that, but it's also like there's that element of play behind it, if that makes sense.
If he said that line in 2024, I would agree with you. But this was the very beginning of... He had just debuted the Tribal Chief character, or the beginning of this in SummerSlam 2020. So, like, this was still young, fresh Tribal Chief. We hadn't really explored the depths of this character yet. So, him saying that just felt like genuine stakes being added. But instead of being stakes, it felt like it took the stakes away. Because, of course, they're not going to retire Roman Reigns. Or have him lose that match and try to finagle his way out of it. It just didn't make sense. Anyways, John Cena, Randy Orton. I'm not mad at this match. I hope it goes well for both men. I hope it's a good showcasing for both men. What I do want to bring up to you, though, is John Cena has looked so weak since coming back.
I swear every time that man makes an appearance, he ends up on his back in the exact same position. I know that people are talking about how he's always in the same position, but the thing is, I can't tell you a time where he has made an appearance since the Elimination Chamber where he didn't end flat on his back.
Yeah, honestly, it's... And of course, besides WrestleMania.
Obviously.
But it's... Every time he tries to brawl with somebody... And even at WrestleMania, he lost twice to Cody by rights. But the ref was taken out both times. So, like, this John Cena, and the only reason he won at Elimination Chamber was because of Seth Rollins' hatred for CM Punk, costing CM Punk. Now, that's not entirely fair to say, because it was still John Cena versus CM Punk. Both men were there. Both men were still in the match. Cena didn't have the match lost at that point. But it was still... CM Punk looks a lot more viable in 2025 than John Cena did, especially at that point in time. And so when we're sitting here, Cena has looked so weak since coming back. And I think this is the most heartbreaking part of it for me, is I don't want 17-time world champion Cena. I wanted Super Cena. And if that included a 17 title reign, that's awesome. But I want to see that John Cena that it doesn't matter if he's a bad guy. I want to see him be the badass that he was, that would just take endless abuse and would somehow kick out of absolutely everything.
I mean, in a way, they are kind of doing that because, like we said, every time we've seen him, with the exception of WrestleMania, he's ended up flat on his back. He cannot get his move on anyone. He cannot take out anyone. He keeps getting knocked down time after time after time. But when it matters, he wins. Now, obviously, it was using underhanded tactics, but he still did pull out the victory. So it's definitely not Super Cena, but there are definitely some inklings of it showing through this character. But I will say, I just love that we're getting something new and we're getting something, like Triple H said, what if we got to December and they never pulled the trigger on it? Yep. They never gave us heel Cena. Like, we would have had so many regrets. We would have had so many what ifs. So I'm just happy that we're seeing it. And obviously, I know you said you'd love to see a heel Super Cena. That would be great. I agree. I think that would be great. But I love that they're trying something new just to see how it goes. I do think that they're still kind of playing with it and they're not exactly sure how to do it and where to take it. But I'm hoping that they get it figured out soon because it really just feels kind of messy at this point.
It does. I do think they're building. I think by the time SummerSlam Survivor Series rolls around, we are going to have heel Super Cena. I think they're trying to build back up to that because, in all honesty, it wouldn't make sense if John Cena has been on this 6-year losing streak where the only match he's won is a tag team match with Kevin Owens. And suddenly, out of nowhere, he comes back and he's just Super Cena again. That doesn't really make sense. But at the same time, John Cena, with cheap shots and a title belt he's using as a foreign object, should be able to take out Randy Orton. He's a heel. He's using heel tactics. This is when he should win, not be getting taken out by a veteran who debuted the same year he did. So, I'm not mad at it. I hope the match is good. But this next set that I have written here, Destiny, we got a lot to dissect.
Yes, we do. And I was watching this part live. I thought that it was so cool because we had Tiffany facing off against Jade. Tiffany was victorious at WrestleMania, as was Jade. And so, of course, the next logical move for Jade is to go after a championship. So what does she do first thing on SmackDown, the first one after Mania? She goes right after the champ. Now, this was a pretty great match. I was really enjoying it. But the interference made so much sense because, of course, Naomi's pissed. She just lost at WrestleMania, and everybody's been saying, okay, Naomi lost, now what? What's next for Naomi? Because it's obvious what's next for Jade, but it's not so much with Naomi. I'm wondering if they're going to keep this feud going and have a culmination in a stipulation match of sorts at Backlash, or maybe even a pay-per-view after that to make it a best-of-3 series. Also, just to note, I would love to see a stipulation added to John and Randy, because that is when they do their magic the best together. Back to the task at hand. Naomi and Jade can absolutely tear it up together. They proved that at Mania. I would love to see a stipulation match at Backlash, or maybe an Extreme Rules, or whatever is next. Now, with the return of Nia Jax, this just makes too much sense.
Okay, but did I call this one, or did I call this one?
Listen, you called it. Now, forgive me. I feel like you might have called it, like, happening at WrestleMania.
No, I said after Mania.
Okay.
But to be fair, I also don't know if I called Tiffany Stratton. I believe I said Nia Jax would be attacking either Io Sky, Bianca Belair, or Rhea Ripley. I think I called it on the other side of things, not on the Tiffany Stratton side. But I did say I think Nia's coming back, and she will be inserting herself in the title picture.
Absolutely, because here's the thing. We talked about it. There's no reason for this woman to be off of WrestleMania. She won the title last year. She won Queen of the Ring. She had the most eliminations in one time at the Royal Rumble. And she had been cashed in on by Tiffany Stratton, the current women's champion. This only makes sense. There was no reason for her to be off of WrestleMania, but for her to return in such a big way and to make such a big splash is only going to elevate her to the next level to be a very legitimate threat to Tiffany's title reign.
My thoughts on this are I wish that Tiffany hadn't gotten such a clean victory over Nia at Elimination Chamber. I wish it had been kind of a cheaper victory. And in terms of that, Nia would have a lot more ground to stand on here as to why she deserves this rematch. Because Tiffany defeated her pretty sound at Elimination Chamber, albeit in a tag match. But Tiffany looked like Superwoman in that match, and she soundly defeated Nia Jax. And so Nia coming back out here, going right back after Tiffany, you kind of have to ask the question, does she really deserve this match? So they're going to build her up that way, that she absolutely does. I do like the fact Jade went right after Tiffany and she said, look, I deserve my title. I was terrified, though, that they were going to actually do this program now. Destiny texted me live while this was happening, and she was like, hey, Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And my heart like sunk. I was like, please don't put Jade in the women's title matches yet. And then thank God Naomi interfered. I'm wondering, though, I don't feel like the original plan, and I don't mean like from a week ago, I mean like from a month ago. I feel like the original plan was Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair being the series of grudge matches you just talked about. And I feel like Naomi Jade was supposed to be a one-off, but now that Tiffany Charlotte kind of had to be cut short because of their real life issues, I feel like they've pivoted to make Naomi Jade a longer feud and to take that blood match, because I don't think Triple H would have booked two women's blood match feuds on the same show at the same time to do these trio of matches. So I do like the pivot of Naomi Jade Cargill really well, if that was a pivot. I do like Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax. I just wish Nia had a little more ground to stand on here against Tiffany.
Now, I will say, you said that Triple H wouldn't book two blood feuds between the women, and I totally get that. Here's my deal, right? There are rumblings of a potential Evolution 2 happening. So if that is going to happen, he does need to book that many long-term feuds of that caliber.
That's absolutely
also
fair. I overlooked that point. Good job.
No worries. Hey, we're just doing what we do best, and that's talking shit and talking wrestling. Now, there is something that I want to talk about real quick. In our previous episodes, you've mentioned multiple times, like, oh yeah, like after this happened, I called Destiny, and oh, after this happened, I called Destiny, and we talked about this, or oh yeah, Destiny texted me this. I have to talk about something. Because every time that you call me wanting to talk wrestling, wanting to talk about important things, I answer. But when John Cena turns heel, and I know we're both watching, and I call you, and you don't answer, and I can't talk to you about the most significant moment in our lifetimes in wrestling history, you don't pick up the phone. You keep talking about how, oh yeah, like you keep referencing, oh, I called Destiny to talk about this. I can never say that because you don't answer, and it makes me feel sad and unappreciated.
So me and Destiny are two very different personalities. Destiny,
correct, as you can tell.
Destiny is very, I like to talk to get it off my chest. I like to keep it in until I understand it. So when a big event happens in wrestling, I don't like to immediately go, oh my gosh, this, and then spout out everything I can possibly say about it. That is how Destiny is, because she has so much excitement and it's bubbling, and she's like, I have to like talk through this to make it make sense and to put all these possibilities out there. And to me, I'm like,
John Cena's heel turn. Of course I want to talk about it.
I would have answered the phone if Travis Scott hadn't been out there. That's what I'll tell you. The fact Travis Scott was out there, I was so mad. I was like, I'm not... I broke. I was like, I don't know how to comprehend what the fuck I just watched. Why the fuck was Travis Scott out there? Because I was sold. You don't even know how sold I was. With Cody's like, hey, Rock, go fuck yourself. Oh my god, I popped so fucking hard for that. And then Cena, like acting like a 15-year-old at a fucking his cousin's basketball game. He was like, "Oh shit, that was sick." Then he dabs up Cody, and then there's that moment. And The Rock had to make it cheesy by doing the whole Undertaker fucking thumb on the throat thing. But the moment where Cena's face just fell and he locked eyes with The Rock, I was there. I was in it. And then fucking Travis Scott being in the ring the whole time. The Rock's cheesy, over-the-top acting in the moment. We kind of talked about The Rock's comments and how he said this is what needed to happen to make this moment big. And now moving on from that, I feel like it's time for the final boss to step back into the shadows. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there if there wasn't plans to follow up on that at WrestleMania. Because they've spent the last 30 years now building the audience's expectations of the Royal Rumble is the build to WrestleMania. And then the pay-per-views along the way are the build to WrestleMania. And to set that expectation in the big pay-per-view beforehand and then not deliver at WrestleMania is bullshit. And so that is why I don't always answer your calls when something hype happens about wrestling, because I need to process what the fuck just happened internally before I can form the words.
No.
Yeah, that sums up mine and Destiny Diamond's relationship. And I did want to bring up, did you see Charlotte Flair's comments on Charlotte Flair?
Probably.
Charlotte Flair says she is done with wrestling. She said...
Where did she say this?
Hold on.
Please remind me. Okay, continue.
She said she is done with Charlotte Flair. That from now on, she doesn't feel like the audience can connect with Charlotte Flair. She is done being Charlotte. From now on, she is Ashley. So, I don't know if she'll change her name. I don't know if they'll let her change her name. But apparently the next time we connect with Ashley Flair, her real life name, it will be a much more internal character as opposed to this outward presence that she has played on TV since 2014. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because that she is one of your, if not your absolute favorite women's wrestler of all time.
She is. She's always been number one ever since she came onto the scene. I've just always loved her ever since she won the NXT Women's Championship, beating Natty in the tournament to crown a new one after Paige had to relinquish it. Followed her through NXT, up to WWE, WrestleMania 32, her very first WrestleMania. I was there. She won the first ever women's championship of the new era. I have watched that woman grow. I've watched her ups, her downs. She is, without a doubt, my favorite of all time. And she is, without a doubt in my mind, she is the most consistently talented woman on the roster. She always kills it in all of her matches. She makes everybody look like $1 million while making herself look like $1 million. And she's made so much history. My thoughts on this, I really think that it's important to show that vulnerability and to get that deeper level, that deeper connection to a person. I think that that's what really has allowed superstars recently to shine the most. You look at people like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and now Jey Uso, and a lot of those other characters who are who are letting their character shine through their heart and who they are, who show their real raw emotions on TV. Those are the ones that people are connecting with the most. I think that this is a beautiful move for her. I don't think they're going to let her change her name, but if they do, more power to her. I recently saw an interview where she initially wanted to go by the name Elizabeth Reed as a nod to Miss Elizabeth and her brother Reed. So I wonder maybe she could go towards that, or maybe have those names and those people inspire her upcoming character changes. I definitely do agree that there needs to be a shakeup. Now, I personally see nothing wrong with who she is and what she's doing. I think she's perfect. But it is also the same Charlotte Flair we've seen for her entire career. So seeing a shakeup would be amazing, and I'm excited to see her do it in a beautiful way.
I agree. I just think the timing is wrong. I think 5 years ago it would be fine, but the problem is now she's in that John Cena, where John Cena's been since 2014, 2015, where until now, where her entire career is now every time she shows up, everybody just asks the question, when's the next world title? When's the next world title? Because she's so close to that record of matching her father's and then breaking her father's. And so I think looking at that, if she only was an 8-time or a 10-time world champion, she could change this and make her character more personable. But I think now is the time where she is the natural. There's no underdog left in her. Nobody thinks she can't win the big one anymore. She's Charlotte fucking Flair. You're going to need 5 years to tell that story to ruin the audience's expectations that she can't win. Especially when every time she comes back, she came back from injury and won the Royal Rumble, for Christ's sake. It's one of those things where I don't think now is the time to pump her and try to get her to relate to the audience. I think now is really the time to double down like crazy. She needs to get to work in terms of promo classes, and the best Charlotte Flair has been is when she digs her heels in and talks about how great she is and how everybody is beneath her. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to Lyra Becky Lynch, because Becky Lynch had a crazy promo. And that is kind of the work Charlotte should be doing right now. But for some reason, they insist on bringing her back as a babyface every single time. I don't think one time they've brought her back as a heel.
I gotta tell you, like I've said, I'm her biggest fan and always have and always will be. However, I'll cheer for her no matter what, but she does her best work as a heel, and that's my favorite version of Charlotte Flair. It's almost hard to consume when she's a babyface because it's just so unbelievable, because she is, like, it's not even that she thinks she's better than everybody. She is better than everybody, and she's proved it time and time again. Her athleticism, her quality of matches, her storytelling. When she is really in her element with her promos, they are on fire. This woman is better than everyone at everything, and she needs to really own that. I personally don't get, like, even when she comes back from a nearly career-ending injury, I still don't see her as that ultimate underdog, or that word is escaping me. Resilience. I don't see that resilient underdog story being told through her, no matter what happens for her. She's had a hellish year and a half, and yet it's still not being presented that way, and it's not digestible that way, because she needs to be able to really play to her strengths instead of forcing people to see her weaknesses.
So, putting a pin in the SmackDown women's division right now, we move on to SmackDown men's division with Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. And doubling off of that, of course, McIntyre, LA Knight, and Damian Priest.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Why was Jacob Fatu wearing his jersey backwards?
Because he's a badass. He's not Jacob Utaf, okay? Jacob Fatu.
I also have another question for you.
Okay.
You want to see my wiener?
Yeah, this is Ashley, everybody. This is Destiny Diamond. Thank you.
This is wiener.
This was peak Solo Sikoa. This was him. This is why I love Solo. He comes out and he claims, he's like, Jacob's success is actually my success. You're welcome. Everything Jacob has gotten, he owes to me. I brought him here. I did this for him. I did this for him. I did this for him. I practically won the match for him. And of course, none of that is true. Except with maybe the fact that he brought him, from a storyline sense, he brought him to the WWE. Also, fun fact for you real quick. I'm not going to get on a side tangent. Solo Sikoa's middle name is fucking Yokozuna. Don't know if you saw that. That's amazing.
I saw that. I also saw that the Usos were almost named Appa and Sika until Mom was like, "Hell no, my sons ain't gonna be Appa and Sika."
But the story between these two is slow brewing, and I want to see it slow brewing. I do like the fact Solo. I feel like I don't know if Solo believes what he's saying. Not from like a actor doing a role perspective, but as in the character Solo Sikoa. I don't know if he genuinely believes this is his accomplishment, or if this is him with a bruised ego because he lost to Roman Reigns, because he lost the title of Tribal Chief, and now he's trying to scrap up any scrape of dignity that he has left and claim as many victories, even if they aren't his, as his. I do think it's the former rather than... I do think it's the later rather than the former. It's the second one I said is what I'm trying to say. I think this Solo... I'm excited to see what he does with this, and really interesting to see McIntyre in the U.S. title picture. Lots of thoughts going around here.
Yeah, I can't be mad at it. Here's the thing. Drew McIntyre coming out, even though it didn't make sense, it made all the sense in the world, because here are Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu acting like they're the biggest stars on the roster when Drew McIntyre's freaking there. And not just Drew McIntyre, but he was just victorious at WrestleMania in a Sin City street fight against the former world champion Damian Priest. Drew has all the accolades to back up his words. And also, he has the history with the Bloodline to be pissed as all get out that these two are standing in the ring talking right now. But can we talk about the moment between LA Knight and Drew McIntyre? It was so good. So good. Because Drew was like, oh yeah, like your most recent title reign was forgettable. Period. But also, LA Knight was so valid in saying, that's funny, because I don't even remember the last time you were champion. It was so good.
These two playing, and this is what I was talking about either last week or the week before when I said Triple H really loves, we were talking about the Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan thing, and how these two need to fight, but how I said he loves to breadcrumb different feuds. I don't think this feud is going to happen now, but I do think in about a year's time, McIntyre, LA Knight are going to be staring down at SummerSlam, maybe, and they're going to bring all these breadcrumbs back up, because the foundation started being laid at the Royal Rumble, where, LA Knight kind of upshowed McIntyre. McIntyre stormed out after he got eliminated and said there was a guy in there trying to make the match all about him and was supposedly talking about LA Knight, and LA Knight called it out on SmackDown saying, "Here, let me get my stuff in," which was McIntyre's exact quote there. So they kind of teased it, and a lot of people initially were like, this should be the Mania match, not Priest versus McIntyre, which they were absolutely wrong. I'm sorry.
Incorrect.
But the fact that they're now revisiting that and writing a mini chapter here, I was a fan of. And then Priest came out and cost LA Knight he cost LA Knight, correct? So ultimately it was a whole hodgepodge of this guy attacked this guy attacked this guy. Apparently the official ruling says no contest. So they're probably leading towards a multi-man match. Maybe I assume it's a triple threat. I don't think Solo Sikoa is going to be involved in this. I think he will be the manager outside. Some people are assuming he will be inserted, and we're looking at, or I guess it'll be a fatal four-way. Because Damian Priest, LA Knight, McIntyre, and Jacob Fatu. Which I'm not mad at. It does elevate the title, having big stars such as McIntyre in a feud for a secondary title. It really does elevate that title. You just have to make sure that it doesn't cheapen McIntyre at the same time, because it is a delicate balance to do that.
Because I've seen it happen, you know, I mean, I remember when Randy Orton was U.S. champion, and it's just like, why is Randy Orton, a 14-time world heavyweight champion, holding the U.S. title? Like, it didn't make sense. Like, there are stars that are bigger than the title that don't need it. You know, you have your Undertakers, your Triple H's, your John Cena's, your Randy Orton's, and there are just some guys that just don't need the title. Yeah. And that's okay. There is something that I am not seeing here that I would like to discuss. Well, I guess it is on there, but I would like to say I demand a recount. Chelsea Green is still the president of the United States of America.
I don't think that's true, first off. Second off, very happy Zelina Vega got her victory there. I think it was time to end Chelsea Green's title run. I do think this shouldn't be her only title run.
Correct.
I just... Do you see she quit? Quote unquote quit? She's done with the company? Pretty good?
Yes, this is my farewell address. Yes, I did see that.
Pretty happy with...
Now, it's Chelsea.
Yeah.
Need we say more?
I love...
No.
She talks about the fact she had a whole backstage interview quote where, because you hear so many people being like, I'm not given the opportunity. I'm not given 15 minutes on SmackDown. And she just straight up came out and she says, I'm not either. She goes, I get 4 seconds in a Royal Rumble match. And she goes, but I decide what I do in that 4 seconds. And she says, and the second she leaves the ring, she goes to the back and she grabs the social media team and she makes sure that they make a post about it. And then she does this, and then she releases merch and then films her own videos about what happened and why she was screwed. And Chelsea Green is so good at the art of getting herself over in spite of whatever the company has booked for her. It is a superpower, and I'm really proud of her here. I'm happy that Zelina's such a sleeper hit in terms of she's the first women's Queen of the Ring.
Yes, sir.
And so, pretty cool. She's now the second ever Miss Women's United States champion. So, Miss Women's United, that's a sentence I just said. But it's cool that she's building this mini accolade for herself here. This mini resume, setting up a couple accolades on there that are pretty big deals. And so, I think in 2 or 3 years' time, if she can kind of keep stacking these with, a women's tag team championship run, with
you mean like she had with Carmella?
Did she?
Yeah, I think they held it twice.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Zelina Vega is at least a one-time tag team champion. She held it with Carmella when she was Queen of the Ring.
I forgot. I miss Carmella. You guys don't know how much I miss Carmella.
Did you see the breaking news today, though?
Carmella died? What happened?
Don't say that. No, Carmella is pregnant with her and Corey Graves' second child.
I thought she was still pregnant with the first.
No, that baby was born over a year ago.
Damn, son.
I know. But no, while you look into her tag team stuff with Carmella, I just want to say Chelsea Green has very quickly entered my top 5 favorite female stars of all time. All time. Genuinely. She might even have you're gonna hate me, she might have even surpassed Kelly Kelly at this point, because her character work and what she does with every single thing she's given, no matter what it is an art, it is talent, it is something that cannot be taught. This is a skill that no one else possesses on the roster except for Sami Zayn. They are able to take dog shit and turn it to gold. I love Chelsea Green. She has beyond paid her dues, and I am so sad that she lost the title. But if she's going to lose it to anybody, I am so happy it's Zelina Vega. This woman has been busting her butt in this industry for decades now. And she has been one of the most talented, charismatic women in the women's division since she entered NXT. When she was working with Andrade, she elevated him to new levels, to new heights. She is so beyond incredibly talented, and she's just a genius on the microphone. She's a genius on Twitter. Her interviews are amazing, but her in-ring skills are unparalleled. The way that she would hit a Hurricane Rana on every single male opponent of Andrade's that was twice her size, literally, was masterful. It's something that no one else was doing at the time, and something no one else is doing now. It's very reminiscent of what Lita would do for the Hardy Boys with their opponents, and it was so great to see that in a PG era and the current era that we're currently in. This woman, like we said, has been passed up for opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Now, if I'm not mistaken, she was supposed to be in the tournament to crown a first ever Women's United States champion, but she had to pull out due to injury. I am so thankful that a woman with her work ethic and with her history being the first ever women's queen of the ring and a former tag team champion and all of her other accolades, she finally gets the singles run that she has deserved for years. I'm so thankful that they're finally putting the trust in her and that they're finally going to give her a moment to shine. Congratulations to Zelina Vega from me, Destiny Diamond, and August Blaze on behalf of Believe Wrestling.
Crazy piece of history for you. They went into WrestleMania 38 as champions, Carmella and Queen Zelina, and they lost to Sasha Banks and Naomi before their walkout.
My God, you're right!
Blew my mind. I totally forgot about that. It was a fatal four-way women's tag. It also included Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, by the way, and then Natalya, Shayna Baszler. So, crazy piece of history here.
Though, okay, here's the thing. One of my biggest gripes with this company has been their ability to shove together two people and call them a tag team, specifically in the women's division.
Division.
But all four of those teams you listed off are phenomenal teams. It's so good.
Well, I agree with pretty much everything she had to say in terms of, except the fact Chelsea Green being better being better than Kelly Kelly.
Out of here.
Ridiculous. Kelly is a fucking goddess.
I know. I met her. Why don't you get to tell her that? Oh.
I'm sorry. I have two of her posters on my wall. Thank you. Two.
That's because you wouldn't let me take one. You took both of them from Lauren. That's not fair.
Not true. Lauren only had one. I already had the other one. Thank you.
That's true. But you wouldn't let me have one. That is so rude. Also, you know what you're telling me? You're saying that I'm ridiculous? You're the one calling her Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green.
I miss Samantha Irvin.
Aleister Black's back, I guess. That was a way to do it. I'm not mad.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's how we're going to segue into Aleister Black coming back. Well, oh, my God.
He's married to Zelina, so.
He came back right after his wife won the United States Championship.
Exactly.
How cool is that?
Segue? That's crazy.
Your segue lacked energy, it lacked pizzazz, it lacked happiness, and it lacked enthusiasm.
Because, first off, I've never been a huge Aleister Black fan. My NXT, I'll say this, my NXT was, I wasn't even an original NXT fan. My NXT was Adrian Neville, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor. My NXT was like Corey Graves. Hell, throw him in there. My NXT was like 2014 to like 2016-ish. That was when NXT was like my show. Neville, to me, is still the greatest thing to come out of NXT that's not named Seth Rollins. I love Neville. Yes. Of course, Pac now, or Pac. I don't know how the fuck you say his name. He's a bastard.
That's because they've said it both ways in the same company, and it makes me very angry.
Exactly. So, I was never a huge Aleister Black fan, but that's mostly because I wasn't really watching at the time. And when he came up to the main roster, he just didn't really do much. They didn't have a ton for him. He has a hell of a finish, I'll say that. He's clean, but he always felt like a less interesting CM Punk. Sorry.
I can't relate in any way, shape, or form. Yes, he's tattooed. Yes, he has a dark aura about him. But what about Punk says that he's undead? Like this, not that he just has that mystical gothic aura. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I'm not calling him the Dead Man. I'm not calling him the Undertaker. But Aleister Black, damn it, now that you've said it, I can actually see the parallels in their...
That's what I'm saying. The style of promo and everything Aleister Black was doing when he came up was very CM Punk-esque.
And now that you're saying that, listen, the style of the way that they speak and what they say, I disagree with. However, the fact that he does it sitting cross-legged in the middle of the ring. Oh no. Okay, you know what?
You're welcome. So, he's back.
I still don't agree.
He's feuding with The Miz to start things off. Hopefully more Carmelo Hayes than The Miz.
Yes.
But Rusev getting a bigger pop than Aleister Black kind of shocked me. When Rusev came back out, he got a decent, like, it wasn't a crazy pop. It wasn't like blow the roof off, but it was a decent pop. Aleister Black felt like half the stadium didn't know who he was. So they need to, and the fact they're debuting him against Miz is kind of a, you look at the track record for stars coming over from AEW, it's actually not great. Like, you have a Jade Cargill and you have a Cody Rhodes, but you also have an Andrade. So you got to keep that in mind where, not everybody flipping over is going to be the huge, big thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly because Andrade and their Golden Goose split up. So I feel like that's honestly the main reason that Andrade's left in catering. Obviously, he may be the exception, not the rule. But I have to say, this might be silly of me to not make this observation, but I didn't even notice the pop for Aleister. I was just popping myself. I thought it was great, and I thought it was a great way to bring him back. I will say, I don't expect them to do much with Rusev, especially the way they brought him back.
Definitely.
Nor do I want them to do a lot with Rusev.
Definitely.
I don't need them to do a lot with Aleister. I would rather, if they're going to put their energy into one of them, I would personally rather see it be Aleister Black, because I feel like there was a lot of untapped potential there. With Rusev, I feel like they did nearly everything that they could do, especially with his match against John Cena. I thought that it was phenomenal. And he did so much incredible work. Like, they really did show all of the talent that Rusev possesses, in my opinion. Whereas Aleister Black really never was given the proper platform to shine. So I would love to see him involved in a clinic for either the US title or the IC title in 6 months to a year or something like that. I think that putting him with a star like The Miz, obviously his star power isn't at the top right now with what he's doing and where he is in his career, but we can't forget that he is a 2-time Grand Slam champion. He's also one of the best Intercontinental champions of all time. He's a former 2-time Mr. Money in the Bank. He is incredible on the microphone. He reinvigorated Daniel Bryan's career when he came back. This man has the ability to elevate who he works with. And that's really the Miz's bread and butter, and that's really where his strengths lie. So if anybody can elevate Aleister Black to the next level, it's gonna be the Miz.
I would argue that, though. I would say Miz has these accolades correct. And when Miz is on, but a majority of the time, and this doesn't fall on the Miz, this falls on the company, they don't utilize the talent working against the Miz. I feel like the Miz is the place where the energy goes to die. They have a good showing against the Miz, and the fact that Miz is just not on that upper echelon level just makes it, okay, you just beat the Miz, congratulations. You beat a guy who the only time he's won a world title has been Money in the Bank cash-ins. Congratulations, you're a mid-carder at best, pal. And it's just kind of how they showcase Miz. Getting a win over the Miz doesn't feel like a big deal. So, them bringing him back, absolutely I agree with you on Rusev, though, that them debuting Rusev against the tag team division, I think is a very clear indicator of how they feel about Rusev and how his push is going to go. How dare them on Rusev Day disrespect my man like that? But I'm not mad at it. Do you think Aiden English is going to come back? He did debut against the tag division. Is the only reason I bring that up. And on Rusev Day.
The need for it.
And on Rusev Day.
I mean, it would be on Rusev Day. It would be on Rusev Day.
Who was his partner? Aiden English and
Simon Gotch.
Simon Gotch, that's right.
Of the Vaudevillains.
The Vaudevillains. The Vaudevillains, I wouldn't... Honestly, fuck everything. Bring me back Enzo and Cass. Bring me back Enzo and Cass. I don't even care.
Please. Oh my god.
My alarm sound is still their entrance music sound.
Oh, it's such a bop. Ugh. And also, listen, I keep name dropping. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I was there at Monday Night Raw the night after WrestleMania 32 when they debuted on the main roster, interrupting the Dudley Boys to come out and cut their promo. That was the pop of the night, and it was so incredible. Those two, their charisma together. Everybody said that Enzo was the star of the show. I get that. Yes, he was. But also, everybody always overlooked Cass. That man was incredible in the ring, incredible on the mic. He was way better than he ever had any right to be. The fact that they broke that team up so quickly is the reason that they were both so unsuccessful in their careers on the main roster in WWE before getting released. Minus Enzo, he had some other reasons, and he had some success in the, listen, that man brought the Cruiserweight Championship to the main event of Raw. That is huge.
Well, I will say, though, it's the reason Neville left the company at the same time.
Yeah.
Because Neville went, undefeated, I think it was 14 months he was champion, kicking ass, and then they wanted him to lose back. He lost the title to Enzo, fair enough. He said, all right, fair play, he beats me, whatever, shenanigans, I get it. And then they wanted him to lose back-to-back to this guy, and he's like, no, I'm not doing it. And that's what caused him to walk out and why he's no longer with the company.
I forgot about that. That was insane. Because I remember the main event against Kalisto where everybody came out of the locker room and lifted Kalisto up on their shoulders when he beat Enzo Amore for the title in the main event of Raw. Like, talk about a moment in time to be a part of. You watch that back now and everybody's like, huh? But you were there. There. Oh, that meant something to all of us, damn it. That was so good.
Anyways, Aleister Black is back. You're welcome. You know what else you're welcome for? I also will say I think your boy was right. It was the right call not putting this card at not putting this match on WrestleMania. I think this was so much better at SmackDown for the sole reason, one, they get, I guess for two reasons, not the sole reason. One, they get more time to shine that they would not have gotten had they been on the Mania card. And two, the fact they weren't on the Mania card made people care about this match. If this was another match thrown on the card last minute, all of us would have been like, oh, cool, we get a spot fest. That's awesome. It's WrestleMania. And then it would have happened, and they'd be like, oh, cool, that was a cool match. Great. But the fact that it happened afterwards means this is the match everybody is talking about now. Because Mania is over. Mania has been over for a week and a half now. But this match just happened, and it's highlighted by itself, and that is such a big deal. And people have so much extra support because it wasn't on the Mania card. I think this match was phenomenal.
People are out there saying that this is the greatest ladder match they've ever seen in their entire life. Well, I personally disagree. It was a damn good one. It's probably top 10 for me. It was so beyond amazing. All three of those teams are so beyond talented. It's absolutely ridiculous. So many of those spots were things I've never even seen before, and only people that have that sort of in-ring IQ could pull off moves like that. It's insanity. You have geniuses in this match. The history that the Motor City Machine Guns have, their storied careers. Two of the greatest minds and performers in this industry in Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. And then, of course, you have the unlimited talent that is Montez Ford. Strap the rocket to him and make him a WrestleMania main eventer. Make him your world champion. I am so sick of this. Like, I love that man. There is nothing that man can't do. It's insane. Just seeing all of the spots that these guys did and the story that they were able to tell was amazing. It was a spot fest, but it had the story intertwined, and these three teams stole the damn weekend.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. It was an incredible match. The spots, as Destiny was saying, it wasn't a spot for the sake of being a spot. They did the spots in a way that made sense for each character to be performing said spot, which was my favorite part about it. So I know we didn't talk a lot about this, but I think this match really speaks for itself. I will agree also with your sentiment. I don't think this is the best ladder match of all time. I'm not a huge fan of spot fest matches. I think they have their place, but I definitely prefer storytelling in matches, and I still think either Benoit Jericho at the Royal Rumble or Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho at I think that was Backlash, maybe, for the World Heavyweight Championship 2008. The story elements leading into it are so important for me. That's really what I look forward to in a match. So for me, this is my favorite ladder match of all time. But it was a hell of a ladder match in these three teams. Nobody leaves this match looking weak.
No.
And that kind of...
For me...
Go ahead.
Oh, you go. I was just going to say that for me, it's not my favorite ladder match. I don't know if I even have one, but one of my favorite of all times... I sound like Santino all times. One of my favorite ladder matches of all time... And it probably is my favorite ladder match of all time, is the crowning of the first ever NXT North American champion, where it was Adam. I know there were 6 of them, so let me make it through. So we had Adam Cole, Lars Sullivan, EC3, Velveteen Dream, Ricochet, and Killian Dane. I did it. I got all 6. This was a spot fest, and I know that it's not your favorite, but for me, it was perfect because it was 6 stars. I had not quite made it to the main event level yet, but were going to. And they were fighting for that next step in their career and the step to make history. And for me, that made the spot fest make sense. Yeah, I'm going to say it. That is my favorite ladder match of all time. Because you can't count Edge and Christian, Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, because that's not a ladder match. That's a TLC match.
I forgot Killian Dane existed until you just said his name right now. That's crazy.
I literally did too. I was like, oh my god, who is the big guy? I almost said Ivar of the War Raiders, and then I was like, it's the other hairy guy.
No, but that's so funny because as you said it, I was like, did they rebrand him as Ivar of the War Raiders? I was like, hold on, is that who Ivar has been this whole time? Was Killian Dane? And I just had to look it up. Apparently he was in AEW for a stint. He got released during the 2020, it says September 2020. He formed a dysfunctional tag team with Drake Maverick. In June 2021, he was released from his contract, part of the 4th round of layoffs executed by the brand due to the effects of COVID-19. And then in February 2022, he joined Control Your Narrative, which was the promotion created by EC3 and Braun Strowman. And then he showed up on AEW using the name Big Damo. He got beat by Shawn Spears, and then he went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that was his last pro wrestling appearance, apparently. Kind of crazy.
That's crazy. He's still married to Nikki Cross, correct?
I don't know. What I do know is he's 40. That's crazy. Oh. Yeah, and it does say him and Nikki Cross married in 2019, and it doesn't say an end date, so.
I'll take it. The Sanity was so unnecessarily good. The fact that Eric Young didn't make it bigger in WWE, we all know why. We'll blame him for everything bad in the world. Yeah. Everything is his fault. Everything's Vince's fault.
But what's not Vince's fault is Jey Uso's kind of cool. Good segue.
Oh my god. Can we talk about that moment that he had with the fan? That was so incredible. As a former Wish kid myself, I love it when any young kid, they don't even have to be chronically ill, when they have a moment with a superstar, but when you see somebody who has beaten cancer and you go over to them and you make their day like that, you make their week, you make their year, you make whatever, you make their life. Like, that is a moment that sweet child will never, ever forget. And I am so happy that moment took place. And not just at Raw, but it happened on TV. That right there solidified that Jey Uso is the man. Jey Uso is our champion. The fact that he went out of his way and did that is what makes a champion right there.
I agree with that. And I do also want to point up the fact, going into this promo, I was scared Jey Uso was going to revert. Like, he beat Gunther, and the big challenge was over. He climbed the hill. He became world champion. I really was scared he was going to go back to being the silly, not silly per se, but just the over-the-top Jey Uso, who's like, hey, I'm just here to have a good time. But he kept some serious undertones here against Logan Paul, which I greatly appreciated. Logan Paul saying, hey, I just beat AJ Styles. I kind of think I'd deserve a little something, something. So Logan Paul has shown in the past, all he has to do is say, I want a title shot, and he kind of gets a title shot. I'm not mad. I think this match is going to be okay. I'm a little nervous because Logan Paul is phenomenal in the ring when you pair him with somebody who knows how to call a match. I don't know how much Jey Uso has called matches. He's typically in there with bigger stars who would typically call the match. So I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah, I was just rewatching our first episode where you were talking about how Logan Paul shines when he is in the ring with the CM Punks, with the Roman Reigns, with the John Cenas of the world. And no offense to Jay, but this is his first world title. He has had some incredible matches, some of the best matches of tag team history, some of the best matches of the year. I'm pretty sure they won match of the year against somebody a couple years ago. The Usos, specifically Jay, have always been stellar in the ring. But like you said, you don't know who's calling it. And he's also had some great dance partners in the ring. So I'm intrigued by this match. I'm excited to see what they do together. And I really love that Jay called Logan a punk-ass YouTuber.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
On the other hand of things, though, Gunther, Pat McAfee. What the fuck?
Dog. Dude, wasn't that amazing? Listen, I love the story that they're telling with this because Gunther went up and smacked the shit out of Michael Cole. To be fair, Michael said something pretty stupid in saying that he didn't tap out. Like, bro, what is you doing?
Yeah, and real quick before you continue on that, I hated that for the sole reason a commentator should not be standing up to your former world champion. They should be quivering. Yeah, they should be quivering to sell the fear that this man should elude from, that this man should make you feel. I hated the fact Michael Cole was stepping up to him. It just kind of diminishes the fact that we should be scared of Gunther, and instead, if Michael Cole's man enough to do it, fuck, I guess I could be as well. But continue your point. Yeah. I just wanted to say that.
Well, that is something I didn't even think about, because after Michael Cole had that moment backstage where he's like, I'm going back out there. I'm not going to stand for this. I'm going to stand up to this bully. We don't stand for bullies in this org. You know, I loved that. I thought that was awesome. I think that's a great message to send to people, especially nowadays, especially with, you know, online trolls and stuff like that. I didn't even think about that, because here's the thing. Gunther's a menace. Gunther can kill you. Like, currently, there's that talk about 100 men versus one gorilla. You could put one Gunther versus one gorilla, and the gorilla would lose. That man should be feared. You're 100% correct. Michael Cole should be shaking in his boots. Pat McAfee going after him for picking on his best friend. I'm just glad that McAfee didn't really get any offense in and was immediately put down and then dying on the way to the back.
Yeah.
I'm excited for where this goes. I'm not terrified for him, but I want to be terrified for Pat McAfee's life, because he's about to step into the ring against Gunther at Backlash. This is not going to end well. This man is so talented, and he's put on some pretty decent matches. But this is Gunther. Bro, you're going to die.
Yeah, I'm fine with Michael Cole saying, I was like you, I liked the bully speech. The moment I struggled with was when he stood up against Gunther face to face.
Oh, no, of course. And yeah. I knew that that's what you were saying, 100%. You're right. He should be shaking in his boots, 100%. I feel like we're on the same page with things.
I definitely think so. I just wanted to reiterate that to the audience. The speech he gave backstage, It's a different story when he just seen his friend get taken out and he was spared from that, and now the threat has left the building. Then he can play brave little toaster all he wants. That's totally fine. I do think Pat McAfee's promo here was actually really good. He did a good job in selling this. I do think this needs to be 3 minutes in the ring of just Gunther destroying the fuck out of Pat McAfee, and the match ending in ref stoppage, because they need to pry Pat McAfee's corpse away from Gunther. And
Absolutely.
yeah, this can lead to Pat McAfee being written off of TV for a little bit of time for whatever project he's going to have going on. Because I feel like that's the direction. The only reason they'd put Pat McAfee in a match against Gunther is if they need to write Pat McAfee off of television for a project or something he is going.
It's so funny you say that, because when he was giving his speech, in my head, my dark mind was kind of saying, oh shit, he's eulogizing himself. It's Ultimate Warrior 2.0. But it makes so much sense, because he's talking about, when I'm dead in the ground, yada, 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 when I'm no longer here, blah, 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 blah. That totally makes sense for them to write him off and get him off TV for a little while. I will say, this is another amazing, phenomenal example of long-term storytelling. From that one shot, that immortal shot that belongs on the walls of museums. It's when Gunther's in the ring, and Pat McAfee's on the announce table, yeeting, and Gunther slowly turns around, and then McAfee just goes...
Yeah.
So good. Long-term storytelling at its finest.
So I'm intrigued as to where that goes, and I hope I'm at least in the vein of what is going to happen. I could be persuaded that something would be better. I don't know all. I'm a dude on the internet with a love of wrestling and a podcast and a best friend. So it's I could be wrong here, but I don't think I am. I think Gunther needs a dominating showing here, because he was embarrassed at WrestleMania. And people say that that was a mistake. I don't think it should be a mistake. I think it's great that Gunther finally got embarrassed. He got upstaged. He was humiliated at WrestleMania. He tapped to his own finish to a guy who does a fucking spear and a splash because he can't do any other moves. I fucking love that. I love that, because that gives so much more to Gunther than if Gunther would have just lost by pinfall. Now people have something they can poke and make fun of Gunther for, just like Michael Cole did, and now Gunther can lash out. This is his May 19th arc. You're welcome. Hashtag what a reference. That's kind of crazy.
Hashtag Katie Vick. Hashtag no you didn't.
Jesus
Oh no,
Christ.
wait, no, it's not. It's not Katie Vick. It's his parents burning in the fire.
Yeah, but you just randomly saying Katie Vick there was wild. At least you got my reference, though. That's kind of cool.
At least I got the reference. At least I got the right superstar, unlike calling the wrong match.
Lyra versus Becky Lynch. This promo battle was everything. Holy shit. Becky name-dropping Bayley here was incredible. I loved her.
Literally? Oh, so good. Please continue.
I loved her. She literally said there's not going to be some whodunit. She said it was me. I beat the bitch up backstage. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I beat the bitch up backstage. She goes, I took her out. And basically called out Bayley whining, saying, instead of capitalizing on these moments, she sits there and goes, why can't I be a bigger star? And the cadence, this is the man, and you're fucking welcome. This is what Destiny talks about when she says wrestlers don't really buy what they're selling sometimes and she can't get behind it. Becky believed every fucking word she was saying here, and it came across like the man was fucking back. And fucking Lyra was keeping up with her, was hitting zinger after zinger, saying, bitch, I don't want to be the next Becky Lynch. Lyra Valkyrie is a better wrestler than you, and that's all I need to be. Am I a bigger badass? No. Am I a bigger star? No. But I'm the better wrestler, and that is what matters when we step in the ring. I love this on both accounts from both women, and Lyra saying, hey, I'll put my title on the line to get a shot at you, to get my hands on you. I'll put my title on the line to do it. That is a badass champion, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you build a fucking star, and this is how you're going to build a title. Destiny, I'll let you talk about your thoughts, and then we'll kind of talk a little more about the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
There's not much more I can say. Oh my goodness, you really did take the words out of my mouth. I thought both women looked great here. Obviously, Becky looked better, but that's just because she's the man. I freaking love Becky Lynch. I love that she said what I've been saying for years and years and years about Bayley. It's about time somebody put that bitch in her place. It's about time that the man stood up and said, you're not interesting, get out of my Mania match. I love Becky Lynch. I loved her so much even before, and I love her so much more now. Lyra looked great. I think that she still has a long way to go before she gets to that top tier star status. I think she
Absolutely.
has a lot of work that she can do. However, this got me interested. And yes, it is mostly because of the work of the man, but Lyra was step for step alongside her. And I'm not mad at it. She looked pretty good. I think that she could use a couple more promo classes just on the side of delivery, and that's us being nitpicky as theater majors. But I really thought that this was a great segment, and this is going to lead to a great match at Backlash.
Yeah, I'm not only a great match at Backlash, leading to your point from earlier, a great match for Evolution. So
Yes! Good.
this is
So
this
good.
is this was exactly, and them elevating this title, because Becky is going to win this match. Otherwise, her heel turn
Oh,
means
100%.
nothing. They need to. This is the same reason Seth Rollins had to win the triple threat match. This, when you turn heel and you do a big moment like this, they have to give you the title and capitalize. It's why John Cena won 17. They need to capitalize on this momentum, and they need to have a reason behind it. Otherwise, Becky Lynch is just a loser who couldn't win as a good guy, so she became a bad guy, and she still can't fucking win. So she needs to win here, and I absolutely love that. It was so good to see the man. Ronnie's always shaking when the man comes round. I missed her. I missed her so much. You don't understand the love I have for Becky Lynch, and I love Bayley. I love Bayley. I do think we maybe get a mini Bayley Becky feud. I talked about a Bayley Charlotte feud. I think we're getting a Bayley Becky feud instead, and I'm not mad at that either, because that will also help elevate that Women's Intercontinental Championship.
100,000,000,000%. Like you said, Becky's winning this one, and she's gonna do what she did in NXT, and she's gonna elevate that title to heights it's never seen before. Yeah, she's gonna be the second champion, but she's gonna add so much prestige and so much honor and so much importance to this title. And what I'm seeing, like you said, with Bayley coming right for her neck after she comes back, I could see a couple different matches, having the rematch in there with Becky and Lyra, and then at the end, Bayley coming in, coming for Becky, coming for her throat, coming for revenge. That is going to be one of the top matches at SummerSlam this year. Like I said, I predict that Finn Balor is walking out of SummerSlam as the Intercontinental Champion. It's going to be him and Dom. I see it being Bayley and Becky for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam, which is, as we all know, the man's show.
The man's. Well, I want to see. We talked about the man. Let's talk about the woman right now. Stephanie Vicure. Again, I'm scared. I'm scared because I don't want her on the main roster right now.
No.
There are too many women making too big of an impact, and too many women that need to make a big impact. And I love the tease last week. I didn't love it as much this week just because it's so soon, and it scares me they're bringing her up. That being said, what a hell of a match between her and Ivy Nile, back and forth. Of course, Chad Gable selling the hell out of this match here as well. But these two, this was the best we've seen Ivy Nile, I think, ever. And Stephanie just really showcasing, she has that aura like so few people have, not just women, so few people have. She comes out and she feels like a big deal. And that's crazy to have with no accolades behind her. Like, yes, she has a couple NXT titles, but those aren't world titles according to the WWE. So for her to come out and have that aura of power, and we've only seen her on the main roster twice, is crazy. Wow. Stephanie.
He's amazing. I've talked about it, how the NXT women's roster is one of, if not the best women's roster in wrestling right now. It is insane, the talent that they have. Now, I will add to your point that Stephanie cannot get called up right now. I 100% agree, because they already tried calling up Roxanne. They made her the first runner-up in the Royal Rumble, and they still couldn't find a place for her. They still couldn't find something for her to do. And she was in the Elimination Chamber match, and we didn't see her until the Raw after WrestleMania, and it was sad. Now, obviously we saw her in NXT, but, we didn't see her on the main roster. Now, here's the thing. I really don't want these women to get lost in the shuffle. I do think that they're bringing up all of these incredibly talented women for the sake of Evolution. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I could totally see that being their reasoning.
Oh, definitely.
Let me just say, Stephanie, Julia, dude, those two women could main event WrestleMania together. Those two women could carry this company into the future. Those two women are so charismatic, so talented in the ring. They have the look, they have the aura, they have the presence, they have everything you need to be the face of an organization. I love what Julie is doing with her hair right now. It's what she did in Japan, it's what she's doing now. Oh my god. And Roxanne looking like freaking dynamite. Oh my god, all of these women coming up from NXT right now are solid. Any of them could be women's champion tomorrow on the main roster and it would be believable. I love that for them. But they cannot get lost in the shuffle. And I'm worried that they will with the stars that they have on the roster. Like we talked about, Io, Bianca, Rhea, Tiffany, Nia, Naomi, Jade, Charlotte. The whole women's roster right now is so stacked. Liv.
Ridiculous.
Don't shoot me. I I leave her out purposefully. You know that. But that one was an accident.
What I will say, though, that makes me... I've literally breathed a sigh of relief because I think that's why Stephanie has been on the shows. I think they're doing a mini build-up to get big exposure for these stars that are going to be on Evolution 2 on the main roster, and I think as soon as that happens, I think we are going to draw that tighter line between NXT and the main roster again, specifically for the women's division. I just think they want to avoid a Royal Rumble situation where these women come out and people are like, who the fuck is this? I don't watch NXT. And I think having this exposure here with some of these big names from NXT kind of makes the audience at least have a general sense of knowing who these people are. I like that a lot more because I do think Stephanie is going to be firmly still in NXT post Evolution 2.
I do want to say, though, I do believe that the people at the Royal Rumble knew who they were because not only did they get major pops, but I feel like the people that go to WrestleMania and go to the Royal Rumble and go to big shows like that, they're generally in the know about NXT, at least the top stars.
No,
for me, like I said...
Yeah, I agree with a majority of the big stars. I'm just talking about the fact, like, the last... Not necessarily this year, but the previous 2 years before this year... Half of the women's entrants got zero pop, and they didn't know. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Not the big stars, but yes.
Okay. Because I wanted to make sure you weren't talking about this year. Because, I mean, Julia and Stephanie and Jordan Grace all got major pops. So I just wanted to reiterate that this year was great and booked solid. I don't think that was an issue this year, but I could have seen it being an issue previously to that. I also think that what I wanted to say was that, I mean, as somebody who does slightly pay attention to NXT, like I said, when I went to the meet and greets at WWE World, I couldn't tell you who any of those people were. Sadly, there were men and women, and one of them, the one woman was a blonde, and I'm like, okay, there's 50 blondes in NXT right now, and they all look exactly the same. I couldn't tell which one it was, and it was really sad, because I really wanted to meet somebody, but I was like, I don't know you, and I don't want to be that bitch that's like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Who are you? When you're literally a WWE superstar, like the slap to the face that would be. I'm not going to be that bitch.
So this leads us to the main event of Raw. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Sami Zayn. They kind of started off the show with a mini promo where Seth essentially extended an olive branch to Sami and said, look, Sami, join with us. He goes, you'll get your world title. You get everything that you deserve. Like, we have the power to do that for you. My group can do that for you. And we will put you in that position because we do believe in you. Again, paraphrasing here. And he said he'll give him to the end of the night to think about it, but make sure you're not on the wrong side when the chalk line gets drawn. And we circle back at the end of the night, and Sami firmly says, go fuck yourself, Seth Rollins. And he pays the price for it. So I want your thoughts here on kind of what we have going on between Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, and Braun Breaker.
I will give you my thoughts, but first, I want to take a moment to give a shout out to Pink Room Studio Productions. They are sponsoring the lighting and audio for my half of this broadcast, and I just want to give a major shout out to them. Shout out to Pink Room Studio Productions. If you guys need any live production equipment or live event production help, hit them up. They are amazing, and they just won an International AVA Award. I love it so much. I think that Sami Zayn is the perfect first target for these guys to go after. I'm just going to call them, temporarily, the vision of the future, because that's what Seth has said way too many times in one night for that not to be their name, at least right now. The vision of the future is currently targeting Sami Zayn as prospect number 1. He tells Seth Rollins to go to hell, so he immediately becomes target number 1. How amazing is it? When Seth Rollins' words can't get the job done, he has Braun Breaker to take out the trash for him. There's the old saying that your mouth is writing checks that your ass can't cash. And that right there is exactly the definition of it, but he can cash it because he's got an absolute monster behind him in Braun Breaker. Holy God, it's so good. Because here's the thing. Like I said, Sami is the perfect first victim for these guys. He is the heart and soul of the WWE. He is so pure. He is so well loved. He is so well respected. This man has done everything. He's paid his dues. He's made history. And he's been friends with Seth Rollins for years. It's just so perfect and so appropriate to have this new impending evil go after the greatest good that this company has to offer. I feel bad that Sami had to get murdered as soon as he came back from his most previous murder, but some things have to happen.
I'm not mad at it. I, of course, love Seth Rollins in this role, definitely in particular here. He is so good as this mouthpiece. My big worry, because this is what they do every single time, is they weaken the friggin' headpiece as soon as they surround him by individuals. Now that he has a Braun Breaker, I do not want to see Super Seth start sucking in matches. And when I say sucking in matches, I mean they because now he's a bad guy, and he has a manager of Paul Heyman, and he has a brute of Braun Breaker. This doesn't mean Seth shouldn't be able to kick out on his own, that he needs people to do it for him. He's still Seth fucking Rollins. Let him still be Seth fucking Rollins, because that is what's going to make this way more interesting and way more dangerous. And when the eventual split happens between these two, then it will be Seth fucking Rollins against Braun fucking Breaker, and not Braun fucking Breaker against Seth Rollins, who can't win a match on his own.
So there's something that I think needs to be discussed. And I can't remember what it was. I totally lost my train of thought. Fuck!
Is it how Seth Rollins is handsome? Is it how Seth Rollins' outfit costs like $11,000?
It was $13,000. Get your math right.
Right, yeah, but it was 11,000 pounds.
So
10,500 pounds.
No, it was so good. There's something that I want to talk about for just a minute. Something that we discussed last week is the potential to have more members in this unit, right? So, I personally selected Nathan Frazier of Fraxium, while you picked Fraxium as a unit. Tell me what. And another thing we've talked about is the need for more tag teams on Raw, because SmackDown is stacked and Raw has 2, maybe 3 teams tops. Tell me why last Friday on SmackDown, Fraxium decides, hey, we're going to debut on the main roster after losing our tag titles, like I predicted. However, they do it on SmackDown that already has plenty of tag teams. What you doing there, boys? Come to Raw where you belong.
Well, I agree with that sentiment. I think they're going to drag this out. I still think we're right, but I think the smarter way to do this is Fraxium needs Seth Rollins. Because right now they don't need Seth Rollins. They just were conquering champions. They had a great run. had a great feud. They just lost their titles, and now leaving that behind, what better way than to go into a feud with one of these other teams, put them over in a big way on SmackDown, and then sign with the Devil because they're the small fish in a big pond now. The main roster is a lot harder than they thought it was going to be. They can't win the SmackDown Tag Team titles. They sign on the dotted line with the Devil, Seth Rollins, and they join with him. And not only do they put over the SmackDown Tag Team champions on the way out, but now they have a reason that they needed to sign with Seth and not just, well, Seth needs more guys. Let's partner him up with a tag team. I kind of like it. I hope that's the direction they go.
I really like it because, as we saw, there are plenty of talented teams on SmackDown for those guys to work with. There is no shortage. I've also seen people talking about how, of course they're not going to show more new members tonight, talking about this past Monday. And, they're not going to add more members immediately. It's going to be these three. And then next time there's a big thing, whether it's Backlash or another pay-per-view where Seth is on the card and has an important match, that's when you introduce the new members. The moment where it matters the most. Because obviously the night after WrestleMania is the biggest night of the year. Besides WrestleMania. For a long time, it was the biggest night on cable. And now it's the biggest night on Netflix. So you had to capitalize on that moment, especially in the aftermath of WrestleMania. That was the perfect moment for them to come together. And now they just need to wait it out. They don't need to rush things, like you said. That is a perfect point to make. They have the ability to wait until it's necessary. Because right now, what more would you need than the visionary, the architect, the genius that is Seth Rollins, and the brawn breaker, the absolute brute, the power force that he is? What more do you need than that? You'll have to wait to find out. And that is what is so delicious about this story that is going to be told. I really do hope it's for Axiom, though. I really think that that is a beautiful way to go, and that would be a great way to reinvigorate their careers on the main roster.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I also, one point I didn't touch upon is the fact that Seth Rollins needs the team. The reason why this was so big is not just because it's such a big event to begin with, but the fact that this is Seth Rollins against now a very pissed off Roman Reigns and a very pissed off CM Punk. And now their anger is directed towards Seth. It's not this shared triple threat dynamic. It is now 2-on-1 solidly because he pissed both of them off. So he needed a plan B. And he had his plan B in Braun Breaker. And now, when his back is against the wall next time, then it is time to bring up the next hat out of the next trick out of the hat. Roman Reigns did not start the bloodline with Paul Heyman, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and Solo Sikoa. He started the bloodline with Paul Heyman, and then he beat Jey Uso into submission. He beat Jimmy Uso into submission, and then he brought in Solo Sikoa. And all of that happened in the span of a year and a half, 2 years. So I think we're going to see something very similar here. Now, moving on to the next set, real quick, I did say we are doing WrestleMania 42 predictions. That is about to happen. However, in one last little swan song here for WrestleMania 41, I did want to touch upon WrestleMania 41 Dave Meltzer star ratings. They have officially dropped. They have officially released. I love reading these. I think Dave Meltzer is a piece of shit, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan. There's a reason I don't rate matches. Why I don't go through and go, this match was 5 stars, because who the fuck am I, who have never actually stepped into a wrestling ring, to look at these performers and say they didn't do good enough? I can critique from my expertise, but as a whole, my expertise is acting. My expertise is theater, is emotion, okay? That's what I can critique, and that's why those are my favorite bits of matches. As to the actual physical performance aspects and the athleticism and all the crazy things they can do and that they put their bodies through, you will never hear me look at them and go, that wasn't crazy enough for me. Or, well, he should have done 2 flips off the ladder instead of 1 flip. That's not where my expertise is, but that is where fucking Dave Meltzer will put his foot in his mouth. So, Destiny, I want your reaction to these. Destiny does not give a shit about Dave Meltzer, so I knew she wouldn't really.
I don't. The sad thing is, I've seen the ratings,
I
and
figured
I
they would pop
hate
up on your
them.
phone.
But we obviously. If you like Dave Meltzer, please comment down below. If you fucking hate Dave Meltzer, like this video and then comment down below. Please and thank you.
I don't hate Dave Meltzer. I honestly, I prefer having him than not having him because he's a great laugh. He's a great laugh. Jey Uso.
He's a grown. He's a grown.
Jey Uso versus Gunther. 3 3/4 stars. Kind of crazy. This was a good match, but let me pull up a metric here.
Well, here's my thing. It's not the greatest match I've ever seen. It's not a 5-star match. It's good and it did what it needed to do, and that's all that matters. And like you said, that's why we don't need these ratings. It's insane because not only is it so subjective, but if a match does what it needs to do, it doesn't need to be brought down. It doesn't need to be looked down upon. It can be, you can look at it, you can appreciate it. There's no need to do any of these dumbass rankings.
I'm trying to see, yeah. This is the metric I want to let you know. The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 18, was 3 stars. So this is 3/4 of a star better than The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. And that should tell you everything you need to know about Dave Meltzer. This was...
No. There is something that... Okay, if he can give that 3 stars, tell me why Cody... If this man knows wrestling, if this man is so knowledgeable, if he knows everything, then shouldn't John and Cody gotten the same ranking? Like,
hold on. Let's get there first. Let's get there.
But if that's the metric, I'm gonna...
Hold on. Let's get there. New Day, War Raiders, 2 3/4 stars. Fair. It was fair. A better than average match. I thought it was good. It was what it needed to be, and it didn't overstay its welcome. And I think that's something WWE does very well. They don't typically overstay their match time. They don't give 40 minutes to performers who need 10 minutes. They're pretty tight on that schedule. And that is a problem I have with AEW, is they try to make every match be this 25-minute cult classic, which is great because you need those matches, but you need the 5-minute matches, the 10-minute matches, the 4-minute Joe Hendry, Randy Orton should not have been a 10-minute match. It needed to be a 4-minute match. Naomi, Jade Cargill, 2 stars.
This man can get the fuck out. We all know he's a sexist piece of shit.
This is crazy to give 2 stars. Saying Jey Uso Gunther was pretty much twice the match this was is crazy. There were a few messy spots. That's the only negative to this match. That's it.
Literally. And also that spot where Jade literally caught her mid-air, and also that spinning powerbomb thing that she...
Oh.
I'm gonna start losing my hair.
Jacob Fatu defeated LA Knight 3 3/4.
Full fucking shit.
Crazy.
No.
Crazy.
I don't hate the match. It did what it needed to do, but it is not better than J.O. I'm mixing names because I'm so furious.
Jayomi, by the way. Jayomi goes kind of hard.
I mean, that could be her name with her husband. That could be their ship name, their Brangelina.
She's married to Jimmy.
Yeah. Jayomi.
No, you can't. His brother's name is Jay, ma'am. You can't just say Jayomi.
Her name is Naomi. What do you want to call him? Jimomi?
Jamomi's pretty good. It's like Jemima with more steps. El Grande Americano defeating Rey Fenix.
10 stars.
2 3/4 stars. I'm not mad at that. I think that's fair. Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair, 1 3/4 stars.
Because he's a dumb, sexist bitch.
Wow.
He doesn't understand shit.
Kind of fucking crazy. Seth Rollins beating Roman Reigns and CM Punk 4 3/4 stars. The fact he does this time and time again with matches, and the fact he's come out in interviews and says it's basically a 5-star match. It's basically a 5-star match. Then why don't you give it 5 stars? But it's almost like he's vindictive against ranking. If this was AEW, this would have been a 5-star match. I'm not even going to apologize for this statement. If they could have had this same match with the same performers at the same time, and he would have said this is 5 stars, or hell, he probably would have said 6, because that is how he ranks. I don't know what he's saying held this match back from a 5-star match. Night 2. Go ahead.
There's a match we will get into probably next that ranked higher than this, but it lacked the storytelling that this one did, at least the long-term storytelling that this one did, and it ranked high. I'm just like, that... Anyway, here's my thing. Here's the thing. He's obviously basing it off of, like, greatest match ever, you know, whatever. He's not looking at these matches as, like, this match did what it needed to do, and it did its job. I mean... Like I said, the match of the weekend was Randy and Joe. That is a 5-star match in my eyes. I don't care if it's 4 minutes, because it did what it needed to do, and it was perfect. If you had done it any other way, if you had done any of these matches any other way, it would have been incorrect. These were... The fact that he can give that to Charlotte and Tiffany just pisses me off beyond belief, because those women tore the freaking house down. It was a great match. Yes, there were moments where it got sloppy, but that was to get it to the point that it needed to be at. It wasn't unnecessary. It wasn't rough. It wasn't these women going into business for themselves. It was these women telling the story that they've been telling for the last several months. And the fact that he is not taking that into account for these rankings is just bullshit. And the fact that this man gets paid to do this is bullshit. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him.
Io Sky beats Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley in a 5-star match, the only 5-star match of the weekend. I do agree.
This is the one I was talking about.
Yeah, this was a 5-star match from a technical standpoint. This is the thing where Dave Meltzer's disconnect is storytelling doesn't matter. Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan was a 1-star match. WrestleMania 3 was a 1-star match. Storytelling does not matter to Dave Meltzer, and he claims it matters to him. All he cares about is seeing a spectacle in the sense of technicality. He wants to see athleticism. That's what I'm trying to say. Athleticism is pretty much the metric he measures things by, and which is great. Good for him. If that's what makes him a 5-star match for him, awesome. This match deserved 5 stars. This match was incredible. But you can't say 100%. This match gets 5 stars, but Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk does not.
Exactly the point I was trying to make, because you were asking what that match lacked. Well, here's my deal. This match is a 5-star match, but it lacked the long-term storytelling and just the storytelling in general that the previous match had. So if one of these is going to be higher than the other, in my opinion, it would be the triple threat on night 1 because of the star power of all 3 superstars, as well as the long-term storytelling and booking that it had, because it had not just that, but it had the emotion behind it that came with it. And obviously, the triple threat on night 2, the women's was phenomenal. It had my jaw on the floor pretty much the whole match. It was an amazing match, and those 3 women told a beautiful story. But the story that was told, I mean, I guess the only reason it would be down would be the low blows and the interference by Paul Heyman, I guess, and that there was no interference in the triple threat on night 2. It's just still so frustrating because both matches were so unequivocally perfect.
The thing is,
so good.
Is the low blow was the point of the match. When it detracts from the match is when it happens and the villain gets a cheap victory and it's a cheap out. This was the focal point of the match. The story of the match. Yeah, the story of the match was Paul Heyman, and who is Paul Heyman siding with, and what is Paul Heyman gonna do? So you can't knock it when Paul Heyman does something, because that's one of the biggest selling points of the entire match. Yes, these men hate each other, but two of them love Paul Heyman and are vying for the attention and the affection of Paul Heyman, one to use as a tool and one to use as a friend. But the other one...
Oh, I'm not knocking it at all.
No.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was perfect, but I'm just trying to rationalize what's going on in his dumb head.
I know. I'm just saying from that standpoint of you...
correct.
Regardless, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, 4.25 stars. Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was great, but...
Crazy.
Charlotte and Tiffany was better. You can quote me on that. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm literally going to start speaking in tongues. I'm so furious.
Dominic Mysterio beating Finn Balor, Braun Breaker, and Penta, 4.25 stars.
I can't argue. That was a phenomenal match, but I'm still going to argue because it's Dave Meltzer and I hate him.
Randy Orton, Joe Hendry, no rating.
Idiot.
No
brain dead idiot.
Rating.
Yeah,
Logan Paul.
We do believe in country.
AJ Styles. Don't say his name too many times. Logan Paul, AJ Styles, 3.5 stars. Also known as almost 2 times better than Jade Cargill Naomi.
Not okay.
Wild.
Not okay.
Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyrie beating Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, 2 stars. I just... But if nothing... The thing is the inconsistency. Because he'll look at some matches and he'll say, it doesn't matter this match was 5 minutes long. The story building up there, and that's the reason this match needed to be 5 minutes long, and all of this, and he gives so much insight and backstory, and this is why this match was so incredible, because of all of this history and everything here. This match had that in spades, in terms of Liv was the one who took out Becky Lynch. Lyra and Raquel have been feuding, locked in this blood feud. They both, the Bayley was taken out of action beforehand. You had the return of the megastar, the man. That alone is worth 2 stars, and it was a good match on top of that. So how can you look at this match and you go, well, it's 2 stars? It doesn't. This is a WrestleMania moment in of itself, just Becky Lynch's return. It should give that rating a 2-star basis unless something bad happens in that match that detracts from that, but that didn't happen. There was no big knocks, there was no little knocks against this match. It came out, it did what it needed to do, the women won, the women all did good here. Nobody looked weak coming out of this, and it told a great story. I don't understand how this is 2 stars. And then John Cena, Cody Rhodes, 1.75 stars.
Wait, I want to say something about this real quick.
Okay.
I don't like to throw around accusations. However, based on these ratings, Dave Meltzer just continues to prove that he's a sexist piece of shit. And I fucking hate him. Because if you had seen that match with a returning male star, it would, like you said, it would have been a 4.5 star match. It is fucking bullshit that he's bringing these matches down like this when there's no need for it. Now, I'm going to tear into this next one as well, because I want you... I'll let you go first, but the main event has me in tears what he rated it.
Well, he rated it 1.75 stars. I will let you defend this one, as this is your baby. This was your match, ma'am.
Now, I will not sit here and act like this was a great match that will go down in history. I'm not going to act like this was match of the night. I'm not going to act like it was match of the weekend. I'm not going to say it was the best title match. I'm not going to say anything. But what I'm going to say, and I know we've talked about how Dave doesn't care about the story. However, this match did everything that it was supposed to do, and I'm saying this not just about Dave, but also the internet as well, because people are dumb bitches. This match was everything that it was supposed to be and more, and it was perfect with the exception of Travis Scott. If you're going to use Travis Scott as the excuse for this to be a 1.75 stars or whatever the fuck it is, good. Cool. I get it. But people keep whining and complaining about the pace of the match, about the action within the match. John Cena was literally this is heel John Cena. He's been told his entire career you can't wrestle. So he comes out and fucking wrestles Cody Rhodes. And you're gonna complain about that? He's shoving it down your throats that you say he can't wrestle and then all he's gonna do is fucking wrestle. That's literally the point. I don't care if you don't like it. It's literally wrestling. It's not gonna be a spot fest. It's not gonna be a stipulation match. It is John Cena wrestling after being told he can't wrestle. He's coming out to show you, if you're gonna whine and complain about me, I'll give you something to whine and complain about. He's not the first person to do this, and he sure as hell should not be the last. John did this match perfectly. I don't care if it was not people's cup of tea, because they're like, oh, I didn't want this, I don't like that. It's heel John Cena. Get over yourself. This isn't for you. This is to further the story and further the career of John Cena in the final year that we have him. This is not about you. Get over yourselves.
On that happy note, I think we bring the Dave Meltzer section to a close there. We keep the ball rolling because we do have...
God, she's
going to have a coronary. Yeah. Now, rapid fire. Ms. Destiny Diamond. WrestleMania 42 match predictions. I hope you got them ready. We are not going to do big explanations for these. At most, like a sentence. Because this could very easily detract to be a 4-hour segment. And it's less even about the time and more about the fact of... I feel like the fun is more in the mystery and us getting to slowly dissect our thought processes in future episodes as to why these stars are in these positions in our minds. So, WrestleMania 42. Let's go through. I got every major title written down, and so I think I'll give you a title, and we will go ahead and both give our predictions for what is going to be happening around that championship, and then we will talk about other matches that do not involve titles. But to start off, the WWE Championship, currently held by John Cena. Where is it going to be at WrestleMania 42?
I don't know how, but the WWE Championship will be contested between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton.
I don't hate that. I have, for the WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Gunther.
I'm not mad at it, and I think that it's perfect and beautiful, just considering the history of the Royal Rumble the last couple years.
I had Randy Orton in this slot. The reason he is not there is because WWE does... Triple H really pumped the brakes on storytelling. He likes to tell longer stories. So I do think 43, we will probably get Cody Rhodes Orton. I just think Triple H likes to tell... We could definitely do it at 42, but Triple H likes to tell the longer story. The World Heavyweight Championship. Where is your mind at here? Currently held by Jey Uso, for those of you watching. Where's that at for WrestleMania 42?
Now, I have a thought. I don't necessarily know if it's... You know what? No. I'm going to save that one for 43, 44, and I'm going your defending champion, Braun Breaker, versus Gunther.
Wow. That is a hell of a prediction. I have a feeling you saying, I have a thought, no, I'll save that, is Braun Breaker Seth Rollins.
It is. Now, I will say somebody on the internet was talking about it today where that's going to be the match at 42, and I'm just sitting here like, huh? If this is going to be built up as Evolution 2.0, you're not going to have that match happening at WrestleMania, especially like you just touched on. long-term storytelling.
And I'm glad we're in that boat together because that's what everybody's saying is these two at WrestleMania 42. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. This is like WrestleMania 44.
It's
Like
iconic.
this is maybe 43, but I'm thinking 44. This is long term, baby. Braun Breaker has a whole career ahead of him. He's in his mid 20s right now. I have Seth Rollins versus Royal Rumble winner CM Punk.
I'm not mad at it.
There was
I'm not.
I know this is weird that they would do this back to back almost for 3 WrestleManias because this was the original plan for 40. But yeah, originally I had Gunther here and I had Punk versus Cody. I swapped them last minute because I feel like Rollins needs the win at Mania and Gunther can't be losing to Seth at Mania. So I swapped the two and I think we're doing Rollins versus Punk at Mania. The Men's United States Championship.
This is a tough one. The reason being, and I'm going to say this about probably every single one moving forward, because there's so much unpredictability with these, especially considering your stars at this level, the upper mid card, get shuffled around like crazy, and we know that we're getting a draft this year. So there are stars that I probably am not even thinking of in relation to the US or Intercontinental or any of those titles. So it's really hard for me to predict.
Just to put this in perspective, WrestleMania 40 was Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton for the US title, while WrestleMania 41 was LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, who Jacob Fatu wasn't even in the company at the time. So this is kind of what Destiny is touching upon in terms of why this is kind of... just because somebody's holding the title now does not mean they are going to be in that picture at WrestleMania.
Isn't it insane?
Crazy.
I'm going to take a stab in the dark. There's somebody on the roster right now that I think is going to be elevated. And there's somebody that I think is coming up soon. My United States Championship match is Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams.
Okay, I'm not mad at that at all. I also took a very big stab in the dark here about a match I would like to see in regards to a man who doesn't have a ton of manias left in him, so he needed a spot on the card, and a man who needs a title sooner rather than later. I did AJ Styles versus Chad Gable for the United States Championship.
I love that.
Would love to see that.
Good. That's really good.
Men's Intercontinental Championship.
I'm going to go off of something that I mentioned in a previous episode. I would love to see Finn Balor defending against Penta.
Very interesting. I also have Finn in this match. However, I think this is Triple H's circle back to big time storytelling and long-term storytelling. I think this is finally where we get, leading up to WrestleMania, the feud between Dom and Finn. And I think the man who has unfinished business with both of them, Damian Priest. I see this being a triple threat match between the 3 original men of the Judgment Day for that Intercontinental Championship.
I really like it. I do.
The Raw Tag Team Championships.
See, now this is one that I was considering to be a multi-man. I think for this one, we're gonna have the New Day, DIY, Axiom, and A team that has not been signed by the company yet.
Ooh, do I get to hear the team or no?
No, because I don't have it.
Nailed it. All right. I actually have this as my single tag team title match. I think Triple H is going to pull I'm going to double down because people got pissed at this last year, and I'm going to prove that I can do this right. I think we're getting the Street Profits versus the New Day. I think it is a money match, and I can't wait to see them actually clash, and I think it's happening at Mania next year.
I like it. I really do.
SmackDown tag team titles.
I am going to go with the Street Profits and the War Raiders.
Okay, this is where I have my multi-men tag team match. This I have Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. I think they've kind of been flirting up recently. I don't think the breakup is happening anytime soon. I think the long-term storytelling with Triple H, he likes to pump the brakes. I see them versus the Lucha Bros versus Fraxium versus the Motor City Machine Guns in a Fatal Four. I think DIY is going to be done by WrestleMania 42.
Nope. No way. No chance in hell, have you?
They've broken up too many times.
The New Day has a better chance of breaking up than DIY.
Okay, ma'am. The New Day has been together 10 plus years through like 4 different DIY breakups. So you can't.
DIY was in each other's weddings. Get out of here.
The New Day were in each other's cereal box, so get in here. The WWE Women's Championship, currently held by Tiffany Stratton.
This one excites me. And I think that we're most... Oh. Do I take it back? Because there's so much potential.
This is a hard one.
This is so hard, bro. Because I have, like, multiple good ones.
Well, I'll tell you what. I made you go first.
You go first on this one. You go first on this one.
I'll go first. I have champion Bianca Belair.
Okay.
Going into WrestleMania, defending her title against Royal Rumble winner Jade Cargill. No Tiffany Stratton in sight.
I love that. My thing is, that match is happening. I think they're gonna wait another year. I'm gonna go defending champion Nia Jax versus Royal Rumble winner Jade Cargill.
Circling back to the canceled plans from this year, I see.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Women's World Championship.
I see this one being a match that was going to happen, and a match that is long overdue for a WrestleMania moment. I'm going Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley 1-on-1.
Damn. I have the craziest match you've maybe ever seen in your entire life here.
I'm excited.
I can't believe I wrote these two names next to each other, and they just feel wrong. But that's why I'm excited about it. For the Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton. It's such...
Tyrell's Love versus Tyrell's Love?
It's such a unique combination of superstars. I think Liv needs to... The Triple H needs to double down on both of these women right now to help cement them as main eventers. And I think, what a way to do it. Put them both in the world title match at WrestleMania against one another. I would love to see it. The Women's Intercontinental Championship.
This is one that I've had written down for weeks. The Women's Intercontinental Championship will be defending champion Becky Lynch defending against Liv Morgan.
Oh, I'm not mad at that at all. I don't think Becky is going to be champion at Mania. I think Lyra is going to get her title back from Becky, and I think she will be defending against Raquel Rodriguez, circling back to that feud, which we got to see a little bit, but once these two women have focused on solos titles, still together, but not as a tag team, they're going to focus on solos gold, and I think they're trying to do a sweep at WrestleMania. Now, Women's U.S. Championship.
I'm going to be throwing a lot of names out there, just to cover all my bases. I see it being a fatal four-way, at least, if not a six-pack challenge. Julia, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Zelina Vega, Roxanne Perez, and Stephanie Vaquer. Now, if they do hold off on the call-up of Stephanie and Julia, they wouldn't be in it and it would be a fatal four-way. But I really see them strapping the rocket to Julia the minute she gets to this company, to the main roster. I don't know if they're going to have those two intertwined for their entire career the way that I have predicted, but though I just see those two being like Caitlyn and AJ or Charlotte and Becky, Lita and Trish. They never stop having paralleled careers.
I'm not mad at that. I actually I spoke about Triple H doubling down for the tag team titles there. I think he's doing the same, and I think Triple H is going to leave the women's U.S. Championship off the card at WrestleMania again next year. However,
Ooh.
I do think he is going to have another women's singles match. Not for a title, because I think he likes having that. And I have 4 names written here, but I only think it's going to be a one-on-one. I think Rhea Ripley is going to get a solo match without a title. And I have who I think is going to be the person, who I want to be the person, and who I think would be really interesting. I think... Do you have Rhea in a very similar situation? That she's in a one-on-one match?
Potentially. I do have Rhea Ripley in a one-on-one match.
Okay. I will say I think it's going to be Rhea versus Nia, which I know you already put Nia somewhere else. I don't want this match, but I do think they need to put Nia on the Mania card, and I think this is where they do it, and this is where Rhea gets her win back, and then she can finally, not back from Nia, but gets her win that she lost at Mania the following year, and she can finally start gaining some momentum to get back in the title picture, because I do think she needs a break from that. What I want to see, I'll save that one for last. What I think would be cool, Rhea Ripley versus Jordynne Grace.
Take my money immediately. Oh, you can put her in the place of Stephanie Vaquer in my women's six-pack challenge. Dear God, that woman's gonna straight to the top. Oh my Lord.
I would love to see her and Rhea, but I don't think this match is ever going to happen, but I wanted to throw kind of a wild card at it. And I think if you're going to have... Triple H hasn't really done any Legends showings. He kind of used Cena in this position before. But if there's a time to do it, it needs to be now. Rhea Ripley versus Beth Phoenix at WrestleMania.
It needs to happen.
I want it. I want it.
I want it.
Bad.
I want it. I need it. Give it to me now. That is the Mania match. And the one that I'm going to throw out there is probably a SummerSlam match. I don't care. This is where I thought you were going when you said Rhea Ripley is going to do a one-on-one not for a title. My prediction, Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio. It's time for it to happen. The time was yesterday, damn it.
Fair
It's
enough.
gonna happen.
Fair enough. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. All right, women's tag team championships, and that is the last title for the main roster.
It's crazy. I see them. Problem is, I see this one being left off the card as well. But give me Meta-Four, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson. I guess not necessarily a returning, but a semi-newly returned Kabuki Warriors. The Secret Hervis. But instead of Piper and Alba, it would be Piper and Chelsea back together.
Naturally.
Oh, there are so many freaking good women. It's insane. I'm going to do Katana Chance and Kaden Carter.
Okay. I like those two. I really like those two. I think they're so underutilized, and I want
really
better
are.
opportunities for them.
Me too, because here's the thing. I might not be like their biggest fans that much, but the thing is, they are a legitimate, established team, and we need more of those, especially in the women's division.
And I think we are building that this year, which is why I also have a fatal four-way tag team situation here. 2v2v2v2. And I do think Asuka and Kairi Sane are going to be making their return to the WrestleMania stage. I'm excited for that. I also think Io Sky and Dakota Kai. Io Sky has spent the last 2 years off of the Mania card, or not off the card, in the main event scene for the Women's Championship. And I think Triple H needs to keep that momentum going with her in a title match at WrestleMania. And Dakota Kai is really falling behind Io Sky, so I think using some of Io Sky's star power to keep her relevant there. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair.
I almost said this team.
I know you did.
I already put Becky on there, so I couldn't. But oh my god, it could happen.
I think when Becky loses, I'm not going to explain too much. I'm going to leave it there. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and
winning
versus Julia and Roxanne Perez.
Ooh, I like it. I almost said her and Stephanie, Julia and Stephanie.
I figured that's where you were like, no, but I want them in the match.
Yeah.
All right. Other matches that you have.
There's just so many talented people. It is insane on this roster. Especially, like we talked about, the women's division is just stacked. So I have 2 men's matches that I have currently in my head, and I'm sure that I'll be inspired by more that you've said. The main one that I have is one that you mentioned, but you had it for a title, whereas I do not have it for a title. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk 1-on-1. But this one will be no, did they? No. This one will be Hell in a Cell. Ashley, don't question yourself.
I see your Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, and I raise you one Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre.
Ooh.
I think they want to do Roman and The Rock. I don't think The Rock is ready for Roman and The Rock. I think he's going to draw it out even further. Unfortunately, I think that match is going to happen past their prime. Past Rock's prime, and it's going to be like WrestleMania 45 by the time we finally roll around to getting to do it. And by then, The Rock is just not going to be in the shape he needs to be in for that match, unfortunately. So I wanted to put Roman Rock. I think it's going to be Roman McIntyre.
So, I'm not going to say I'm upset, but I was thinking about saying that because weeks ago I wrote down Rock Roman. Obviously, a lot has come out from The Rock, and I 100% agree with you. It's just not happening right now. I think Now, the reason I was going to say Rock Drew was because I can't leave Drew out of the card, obviously.
Wait.
However,
Wait. Rock Drew?
no, sorry. Reigns Drew. I apologize.
Okay,
That's on
okay.
me. Sorry, guys.
I know, but I thought
So
that's what
many
your match
Rs.
was. I was like, holy shit!
Yes.
I didn't think about that.
Sorry. Too many R names. Sorry.
I agree.
No, because I originally wrote Rock Roman, and then I was gonna go Roman Drew because I can't leave Drew off the card. However, there's another superstar that needs to be mentioned and needs to be on the card. And I would be remiss if I did not put this on WrestleMania in some fashion. I'm going Roman J.
Okay. I am not mad at that. However, I am still sticking with the original bloodline making its return. That I predicted a little bit ago. So I do think we are going to have another tag match on the card here, and I actually think we're getting Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Not for any titles, just a good old-fashioned these men hate each other match.
So I have a match that you sort of touched on much earlier in the pod. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but the way that I see things going down, I see us having a non-title match between Charlotte Flair and Bayley. Or, because I want to get her on the card, Charlotte Flair versus Io Sky.
I'm not mad at that. I'm definitely not mad at that.
We obviously, I know we're not supposed to explain, but we obviously know the history between Charlotte and Bayley, but there is history between Charlotte and Io. Go look it up.
I want to raise you. I don't have Bayley on my card. Not because she doesn't deserve it, but because Bayley's contract actually expires towards the middle to end of this year, and I do not think Bayley is re-signing. As to why I think they're doing Bayley versus Becky, and I think Becky is going to, if they don't do Bayley Lyra, I think it is going to be Bayley Becky, and they give Becky that one big win over Bayley here to kind of reestablish the man as this ultimate bad guy, essentially. So that is why Bayley is lacking from my card. Not because I don't love Bayley. I adore Bayley. But I do think she is gonna pack her bags and go elsewhere.
She needs to be with her soulmate.
Now, I do have one more multi-person match that I got a lot on my card. I understand that.
Yeah.
The Wyatt Six versus, and I don't think it's going to be the entire team. I think it's going to be take Nikki Cross and take two men versus the team. I think they're going to do a story with Bliss. I think Bliss is going to be excommunicated from the group. And I think Bliss is going to form her own with Karrion Kross and Aleister Black joining forces.
I like this.
And I think it is going to be the Wyatt Six versus Alexa Bliss, Aleister Black, Karrion Kross. With, of course, Scarlett. I would be remiss if I didn't mention her.
Of course. I do have one more match. It includes somebody I already mentioned, but it needs an asterisk next to it. I wrote down Cody Rhodes versus Travis Scott.
Jesus Christ. I'm ending. We're done. I don't want to talk anymore.
Good night, everyone.
I have two more.
I have 1 to 2 more.
So I have it's WrestleMania, and if there's one person who doesn't deserve to be there, but is going to be there anyways, it's Logan Paul. And I think the match, interestingly enough, is Logan Paul, Sami Zayn.
Please. Oh my God, that would be so good.
I think a lot of people don't remember that was Logan Paul's first WWE appearance. Was with conspiracy theorist Sami Zayn. So I think it's time to circle back to that, and good guy Sami Zayn and Logan Paul kind of touching upon the idea of multiple people from Sammy's past trying to convince him to be evil, looming Kevin Owens' return, because I do think Kevin is injured throughout this WrestleMania. Even if he's ready to come back, I don't think they're going to let him.
Now, one of mine, I don't even know how it's going to happen, but I'm really loving and really intrigued by a match that we talked about earlier, and that would be Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight.
Yeah.
The problem is, man, there are just so many talented top stars that I haven't even considered on my card. I wish I had prepared better because I have multiple matches, but I didn't break it down the way that you did. I really wish that I did. Let's do that next time. Well, me do that next time because you did it. But holy crap, like the names I'm leaving off already is insane. That's why I'm kind of floundering here at the end. Like one that I'm leaving off in particular, Damian Priest. Are you kidding me? So many of the NOI family. Like there are just so many stars that I haven't included in my picks. And I'm just like, nah, they'll be there, but in what capacity? Another person that I could, you know how they have people host WrestleMania every now and again?
Yeah.
This is going to be my boldest prediction of the night. WrestleMania 42 will be hosted by none other than Joe Hendry himself.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that one bit. That's ridiculous, Ashley. That's crazy.
And I'm going to add Damian Priest versus R-Truth. It's there. The history's there.
It's there. The history's there. You're wild. I would like to point out this is a list of... what I did essentially was jotted down every big name I could think of and kind of match them up depending on not only who I would want to see, but who I could see facing each other. These are some big names left off my list. Zelina Vega, Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, Bayley, who I talked about, Nikki Bella, Stephanie Vicure, and Naomi for the women's division. I'm sure there's more, but these are the ones that I kind of jotted down at 11 o'clock last night. Your boy's a busy man. For the men's...
You should text me next time.
For the men's, Joe Hendry, Kevin Owens, who I kind of touched upon, The Miz, JD McDonagh, Carlito, Rusev, Sheamus, R-Truth, Braun Strowman, and Rey Mysterio. Not on my card. Who he is injured. It was not a work.
That was a legit injury. Is insane.
He went into surgery. Was the last update that I saw.
I sent that to you, yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Very sad. A lot of people giving Triple H shit for this. I don't think this is really Triple H's room to give him shit. I guarantee Rey Mysterio knows he's facing the last legs of his career, and he is specifically asking. You look, Rey Mysterio's been one of the top performing guys in the last couple months. You look at his matches against Kevin Owens. You look at his matches against the New Day. Like, Rey Mysterio has put on stellar performance after stellar performance on television shows, and I think this is him knowing his swan song is coming and him wanting to get in the ring and mix it up with as many stars as he can. So I do think this is just an unfortunate circumstance, and should he have been in the ring the night before he's scheduled to go to WrestleMania? Why not? It's fucking Rey Mysterio, motherfucker. Oh, what is sad, though, is they were planning a classic Rey Mysterio entrance at WrestleMania. They were gonna do the stage pop. They were gonna do the stage pop, which breaks my heart. Hopefully they do that in the future. But enough about that. I digress. My final match for WrestleMania. Two big names I left off. I think it is the perfect showcase for both men. Randy Orton versus Braun Breaker.
I like it.
Boom, mic, drop. Oh, pen.
Love.
Fuck! I can't. McAfee, you piece of shit. Fuck you. All right.
I gotta tell you, if I could make one alteration based on what you just said, I think I would either add or replace a team in my women's tag team match that I created, and I would add the Bella Twins. Because, like you said, you said Nikki Bella. she confirmed the Bella Twins are making a comeback. I could totally see them being involved in the tag team title scene leading into WrestleMania and after.
I think it's fair. I think I almost put Nikki Bella, Chelsea Green for the U.S., the women's U.S. title. I thought they were actually going to build to that. I think that could still happen. However, I just don't have faith in Triple H's booking of the women's division all the way. I think half of these matches I mentioned are going to happen. They're going to be feuds, but they're not going to be on the WrestleMania card.
Which is bullshit. We need more women's. I mean, to be fair, I mean, this is going to sound so dumb, like coming out of my mouth especially, but having 4 women's matches on WrestleMania is pretty stellar considering the past. Now, yeah. I know that doesn't mean much. I would love to see way more. So we shall see what next year holds.
We definitely shall. Thank you guys so much for watching tonight. I will say, podcast did go a little long, so we get to the Q&A section. If you're wondering why there was a weird hard cut there, we actually just talked for like an hour about our wrestling Mount Rushmore. If you want to check that out, guess what? You can't yet. The video, it's going up tomorrow, baby. Pow, pow. Pow, pow. Deadly as Dillinger. So look forward to that. Our wrestling Mount Rushmores will be dropped tomorrow morning. Probably like 10:15 a.m. Mountain Time, but that's fine. We'll talk about it later. In the meantime, Miss Destiny Diamond, would you like to say good night, dear?
I would love to. This podcast recording has been an emotional roller coaster, and it's really meant the world to me, and it's bringing me back so hard right now. I would love nothing more than to give you the biggest hug in the world. I really miss you.
Brother.
But as always, make sure you are an organ donor on your driver's license. Be sparkly, be you, and have an amazing night out there, my friends.
And be a hugger. Bailey Bear. I still have this. It sits on my nightstand. I love it. Love it.